All right, today we are diving deep into Mircea Eliade's incredible novel, Maitreyi. It's one of those stories that just pulls you in, starting with what seems like a simple fascination, but you'll see it quickly spirals into a full-blown obsession, totally blurring the lines between curiosity and a really forbidden desire. Let's kick things off with what has to be one of the most unforgettable first impressions in literature. So we start with our narrator, Allan, and wow, that's his first impression of Maitreyi. He doesn't just dislike her, he judges her instantly, calls her ugly. He has no idea that this woman he's dismissing so easily is about to completely turn his world upside down. And trust me, this is no fairy tale beginning. It's the start of something deep, complicated, and obsessive. So let's set the scene. We're in Calcutta back in the 1920s, but the key thing here is that we're seeing it through the very narrow worldview of Allan, a young European engineer. He's confident, he's proud of his heritage, and he's just completely wrapped up in the colonial prejudices of his time. For him, India isn't a place to experience, it's a place to conquer. You see, Allan's whole world is this little colonial bubble. He sees himself as this sophisticated, superior European, and that view gets reinforced constantly by the, frankly, crude racism of his roommate Harold. I mean, Harold's words, they're disgusting, they're dirty. They create this toxic echo chamber that really shapes Allan's first impressions of everything around him. But here's where we see the first little crack in Allan's armor. He is, without a doubt, intrigued by Maitreyi. Yet, at the same time, he gets this strange pleasure when he hears his friends mock her and her culture. This is his internal conflict, right there on the page. This pull he feels towards something new and exotic, being held back by the comfort of his own deep-seated prejudice. And then, the story takes a really sharp turn. A simple request from a friend is about to yank Allan right out of his comfortable little bubble and shove him across a cultural threshold he never, ever expected to cross. You'd think the catalyst for this huge change would be some dramatic event, right? Nope, it's totally professional. A friend just needs an introduction to an Indian family for a book he's writing. And this gives Allan the perfect excuse to step back into the world of Narendra Sen and, more importantly, to see his daughter Maitreyi again. This is a huge moment for him. The second he steps into the Sen family home, he's just floored by its beauty and its warmth. And he's suddenly hit with this powerful truth. He's been in India for 2 years, but his whole experience has been a complete sham, lived entirely on the outside, just looking in. And this next scene, oh man, it just highlights the massive cultural gap. A simple accident, spilled tea, it just explodes into this intense, incomprehensible family drama. Mr. Sen starts yelling in Bengali, Maitreyi looks terrified, and Allan and Lucian are just left there, totally bewildered, complete outsiders to a private world with rules they just can't begin to understand. Okay, so the story really kicks into high gear when Allan gets malaria. After he recovers, he gets an offer that is going to shatter his old world for good. Narendra Sen invites him to come and live with his family. Now, their daily lessons, they become the main stage for this unconventional relationship that's building. But let's be real, it's not actually about language, is it? It's this game of intellectual flirtation. She offers to teach him Bengali, but then she just doodles the name of her idol, the poet Tagore. Every single lesson turns into this intimate little power play. So Allan's defense mechanism through all of this? His intellect. When Maitreyi's little sister Shabu says her favorite tree has a soul, he doesn't engage with the beauty or wonder of that idea. Nope, he just clinically slaps a label on it, pantheism. He's analyzing, not feeling. He's using these academic terms to keep this enchanting new world at a safe, intellectual distance. And we see this so clearly in his journal, which he basically uses as a shield. He frames his fascination in these cold academic terms. He calls Maitreyi a primitive, a specimen that needs to be studied. It's how he's processing these growing feelings without ever having to admit to himself that he is completely and utterly losing control. But, you can only keep your feelings at arm's length for so long. And a gesture as simple, as delicate as a single flower is about to just shatter Allan's carefully built defenses and change the rules of their game forever. It all starts with a single flower. After one of their lessons, Maitreyi just throws it on his desk and runs away. On the surface, it seems like a simple, kind of childish gesture, but it's really the opening move in a much, much more complex game. So the next day, she asks him about the flower. And Allan, he's totally caught off guard. And wanting to seem romantic, he lies. He tells her he pressed it in a book. He thinks he's playing her game, but he's just walked right into her trap. He has no idea what he's just gotten himself into. When she asks to actually see the pressed flower, he panics. He runs out to the veranda, grabs a similar-looking flower, tries to make it look old with some ash from his pipe, and presents it to her. And boom, checkmate. With that one devastating sentence, Maitreyi exposes his lie, seizes complete control of their entire dynamic, and proves she is far, far from the naive, primitive child he had tried to categorize in his journal. Turns out, she's been about 10 steps ahead of him the whole time. Okay, this single moment with the flower, this is everything. This is the critical turning point. This is where Allan's detached fascination begins its unstoppable spiral into a dangerous, all-consuming obsession. Looking back on it all, Allan, our narrator, he tries to convince us, and probably himself, that his interest was purely intellectual, purely scientific. But after everything we've just seen, this denial just screams self-deception. He can't even be honest with himself about what's happening in his own heart. I mean, whether he wants to call it love or not, just look at the evidence. His entire world has been completely reoriented. His serious scientific pursuits? Abandoned. His old colonial friends? Forgotten. His whole existence now revolves around one house and one girl. And this is where the first part of our story leaves us. It raises the central burning question of the whole novel. What happens when intellectual curiosity boils over into an overwhelming, life-altering passion? What happens when the observer is no longer just observing, but is completely and utterly consumed?